Steve with Adventure Overlanding here. This is our second episode of our new series of Adventure Stories with Steve. And today I thought I would talk about whitetail, as it is whitetail season here. So I know that it's difficult, and I will, as the video starts, show a better picture of this. But this is a picture of myself, this deer, and my three children. The youngest, so you'll see in the picture, is 3 here in this picture. He is now 20, so some time ago. At any case, so whitetail deer. This was in, of course, the fall, bow hunting again. As you probably already know, I'm pretty much a archer only, very little gun hunting, as I mentioned in the past. Anyway, so a non-typical whitetail has this beam here that curls in and has several points. I think it combined these points in one, as this mass is quite heavy, as you can see on this side. This side is somewhat normal, except you can't see that. On this side there is, or was, a beam, and I don't know how long or how big, because it was gone by the time I had harvested this animal, but its width on this is about the same as this beam, and it's quite large and goes all the way out to this point. So I'm assuming it was probably somewhat longer. It got busted off. Oh, also has various holes throughout. Again, I believe this is caused by bugs getting into the velvet and prior to the horns getting hard. And hey, if anyone has another idea, opinion, and or basically they know what happened here, let me know. Anyway, so archery hunting, as I mentioned, there was one other hunter with me, and we were hunting in teams. Found a bottleneck where some bucks were going through, and thought we would position ourselves early in the morning. I don't remember exact time, but it was fairly late, because it was already rut. So I'm guessing it was probably 8:30, 9:30, somewhere in that range. It wasn't at first light. And came by me at fairly close. Did not come by my hunting partner close at all, though he did see it. He actually saw it before I did. But he came by me about 10-15 yards. So I shot him, and he took off running. We waited our usual time. I think I only waited a half an hour before I got down, because he went out of sight, and this particular area is fairly clear of underbrush in this area for some time, or for some distance, I mean. So got down, checked the arrows out, did what we had to do, and found plenty of sign in the beginning, plenty of sign. But we didn't, after we started getting away from, the stands, started losing sign. And we started crossing, doing grid checks and all of that, and it was several hours before I actually had gotten some help from my daughter here, and she came over to give us a hand also. So I believe it was noon, maybe past noon, so we got 2.5 hours, 3 hours up to this point. So we decided to sit down, take a break, get some water. And as we are sitting there, my memory says that I had barely sat down. This deer jumps up. It was probably only 20-30 yards away in a brush pile. And we never saw the sign to the brush pile. Took off and ran. There's a really big valley that runs along where we were hunting. And was running out to this big valley. As he's running, I get up and run and try to intercept him at the big valley so I could see him where he would go down and possibly cross, at least for some distance, so I could track him. I had gotten to the valley, not any sign whatsoever. Didn't see the deer. Of course, I didn't see any prints from the distance I was at. But we did decide to go down in the valley and pursue him. The guy that I was hunting with had to leave for an appointment. and he had to leave fairly soon. So we kind of rushed through and got down in the valley, looked around, couldn't find any sign. We couldn't find any prints, sign whatsoever. Anyways, so started walking back up the hill, or the valley, the edge of the valley, so that we could take him back to his appointment. As we're coming up, we are spread apart. At the top of this valley, he lies there. So, and he basically had died right at the top of the valley and made one leap, and that was it, and there he lied. And I didn't see him because I didn't go directly where he was. I tried to intercept him farther down the valley, and that's why I never saw him. By now, we were probably at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so you can see if this was even at 9:30, we're into this quite a few hours already. So, lesson. My lesson at that particular point, and this is not one of my earlier hunts, because I've been hunting for some time, but one of the few instances that had happened, we couldn't find him right away. Do not give up. It does take hours in some cases. Your blood trail that wanes, disappears, goes away, doesn't mean that the deer is okay. I have had several lessons in that, very varying species, so on and so forth. It happened with an elk, which I'll get into at a later point. But this particular one had us fooled. Had us fooled quite bad. Anyways, take it as a lesson that I learned, and don't give up right away. Look for several hours, and if you have to, and if you can, and it's cool enough, leave some time and come back. They will expire. So, anyways, Steve at Adventure Overlanding, and on to our next adventure.
Yay! On to our next adventure!